What's going on, workforce? Brian and Chris here, and just to let everybody know who's letting this video just kind of autoplay into the next, we're talking Endwalker spoilers. I have just finished the trial. I have finished the second dungeon. Chris is throwing up a number
first trial. First trial.
Did I say second trial?
You just said the trial.
The trial. Okay, I was like, wait a minute, like brains.
There's more than one trial in Endwalker.
The first trial. And so we're going to be talking about the thoughts, the feelings that I've had. Chris has finished all of Endwalker, but this is going to be a spoiler discussion of everything up to the point that I've experienced. And obviously, if you've already experienced Endwalker, you guys feel free to actually talk in the comments below. Namely, because I'm not reading these comments. I've been in this weird relationship with the internet as of late, and so we have made it that far in the progress. Chris has been live reacting to all of this over on Twitch. So they've been creating clips and highlights that I'm going to be going back to later to seeing how you guys, and what you guys are talking about, and what actually stands out the most to you, knowing what you know and not knowing what I obviously, have yet to discover or witness firsthand. Chris, how was stream today? Like, this was pretty wild. This I'm trying to pad this long enough so that anybody.
Today's the big one. Today's the first big one. We would have liked to have been there with you in Garlemald. You did it on a weekend, so I couldn't be there. But without telling somebody when the big moments are, today's the first really big stream. Day one, people are excited to see you start, but ultimately the story is kind of slow out of the gate. It's big long cutscenes. It's really meaningful for you the first time.
Meaty cutscenes.
Rewatching it doesn't, but I felt different watching it today than I did when I was in your shoes.
Okay.
For example, in the hindsight of where you are now, having processed and having dealt with the suicide, having seen the Zodiac trial, the body swap, I was laughing. As opposed to the first time, I was just like where you were. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe they have my body. Are they going to kill somebody with my body?
Right.
I have to get there in time. Is it going to let me get there in time? Are they actually going to make me crawl this far? I remember thinking all those things, but the second time through, I'm just laughing. It's just because I already know how it shapes up. So it was.
Was such a fun quest. Did you fail that quest at all? Because I've enjoyed these.
I did not.
Okay.
That I remember. Maybe
a lot of people commented on the hide and seek.
There were a lot of people that did. As of today's patch, the easy modes of that quest got easier. The normal was left the same. So as of today that you were doing it, they did patch that that was one of the things that was adjusted, is they made the easy mode easier because that was a trial that was literally gating people.
That's fascinating. I know.
I'm just done.
I know that was something that was really, I loved the gamification of it, because all of a sudden I literally could go anywhere and I didn't know where these things were, and these fights were legitimate, would tear me apart. And I liked finding potions to heal my, I really it felt like all of a sudden I wasn't in this big sprawling MMO, but I was in a Final Fantasy game. I've had not that moment, but moments in which that it's all right, you're going to enter in this thing and it's going to be a challenge. We recommend, without them saying it in this game, they were I felt like it was one of those Final Fantasy moments where we recommend that you do not save in this mode, or you create a backup save in case you cannot get out of this mode. And so I've seen that happen in past Final Fantasy games. 12 is the one that comes to mind most recently, but the out of body experience, I thought that was a really cool twist. Did you guys see me rooting for you, Yashola to come in and be I was hoping that she'd be that's not him, because she obviously sees Aether. She doesn't see my physical form at all. And I was
but she's not even able to quest with us throughout that zone because she's so drained. That whole zone has such a weight on her.
Right. And
she hasn't been able to go anywhere with you.
Well, and beyond that specific thing, and that ties right into what Fan Daniel's plan and how he orchestrated all these things. He's they can't say no. They're going to have to help everybody they come along with, and orchestrating all that essentially then to make sure that basically moving the chess pieces so that he has the utmost chance for success. And then him not actually being able to break the sixth seal, in that regards, I was not having enough Aether, basically okay, but then he's all right, we're just going to go there. But then Xenos is all right, I'm here, and just one swipe, it's done. I was I guess that's obviously with all the rejoinings, that's obviously all the things that have fallen beforehand that made it so easy for him to kind of accomplish said task. Xenos is going to be, I'm curious to see if I actually start to like him as a villain, because right now I'm just bored of him, as I'm sure he is bored of the world. But Van Daniel becoming the heart of Zodiark, that's something I didn't see coming in terms of, but it makes complete sense when you actually put all the puzzle pieces up to this point together. And the reason it does is because Xenos became, Shinrium, right? He became the driving force of this all-encompassing powerful being. So we've seen this happen before, and we've already known that Elidibus was the heart of Zodiark. We've seen that they put a person basically as the will and the manifestation of that and that being.
It's not that different than how the Garlands build the big weapons in the Sorrows Over Lit.
Exactly. In terms of the
It's
Oversoul.
not that different.
No, not at all. I really appreciate how consistent.
And Akasha, Nidano told us about Akasha and implies that is the source of our limit break.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of going back and saying there are areas you thought we shortcutted, and we've known
this whole time.
This is writing way in advance. Like they're coming in and they're dropping all sorts of things. This is wrapping up. It's the finale of the saga. And so all these unknown questions
are being answered.
If you have questions still remaining, write them down. See if they tick them off. Because that's the objective with the writing of Endwalker is let's get down everybody's list. Now, when we get out the far into the credits, you get to decide whether or not it got all the way down your list. But I think the objective going into the expansion was let's take a shot at this. Let's stop leaving unanswered questions for tomorrow. Let's answer some things. And where does limit break come from? Where does that even make sense? It's Akasha. It just is. And so that's enough of an answer, for me.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot. You've seen the flower a couple times, and that's been a really nice
couple different colors of the immersion.
Here's where I'm at. Oh my God, that is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Kind of making note of. There's been a lot of references to the player. Yustola telling you to take rest. There's been a lot of references to us. Outside of is it the player or is it the vessel? Right, you had your body taken away today.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen before, calling back again to what Alamingo, and so having that connection with especially that doctor, I love that. I appreciate threads that get pulled and that essentially don't just dissipate. Oh, we did this thing, it was fun. No, there was a reason for that, and it actually ended up then evolving, and then we have this experience, and we obviously saw it with Xenos, where he was out of body, took back his body, all of these different things, and then having that twist and having it apply to the character, Xenos taking that your body, then essentially just the chaos that he could have wrecked easily by wearing your face. Really happy that went our way in my regards, and that was obviously what a great moment to see the Garlean soldier throw his sword, having crawled all that distance to save his friends, and then I was oh, I guess Xenos hasn't attuned to the Aetheryte at Broken Glass, so he also was just so there was that was kind of a nice little race to to that little game, obviously as a part of more distraction.
It does make you wonder, right? Is it your vessel that is attuned, or is it your soul? Because when you were removed from your vessel was not attuned to the Aetheryte.
Right.
They couldn't take your character straight to the Aetheryte.
Correct.
So it's you that attunes, not your... Right. And I saw you check the cost of teleports.
Yeah.
Because that tells us... Now, remember, the teleports are really just going down to Garlemald and over.
Yeah.
Assuming that it's able to take advantage of the elevator. But I saw you checking teleport costs. There's a lot of lore here. There's a lot of hidden world building in gamification systems.
Yeah. I was really it was really fascinating to kind of see and then realize that Zodiark had to be imprisoned, and the reasoning behind his imprisonment was what if somebody else gets to be the heart of Zodiark, and then essentially that becomes the will. So there's a fear there, a natural fear, that it wasn't that Zodiark is just off running around doing his thing, a loving or all whatever deity, but it's actually he's like a suit of armor. There's a pilot to him, and that means whoever can be that pilot, in this case Van Daniel, then all of a sudden that's kind of the fear that I kind of saw, that the reason why there's a real problem here with him, but then he was created in his existence, holding off the final days, keeping the laws of nature in check, so that when he finally is defeated, that all of a sudden that thread starts to unravel in his existence. That's what I gathered from that whole thing with Fandaniel and obviously Fandaniel wanting Zodiark to be destroyed.
So where do we go from here?
So, well, Xenos is bored.
Because, I mean, the expansion's complete. In my opinion, they have shipped a complete expansion if you stop right where you are. If credits roll.
Yeah. Now we're starting the game. Now we're starting the...
You've completed the game. I mean, right?
The point one, the point two, the point three.
They could have...
Said, hey, thanks.
They could have done this at the end of the moon.
Yeah.
You could have spent longer in Labyrinthos, and you could be done. Like, this is a complete product.
Mm-hmm. See, how many hours am I into right now? So
you'd have 5 patches to explore more.
Yeah.
You could be done, but you are level 83.
So there's a lot more.
I've been really careful to not spoil you on anything,
right.
But I am level 90.
Yeah.
So
there's 7 levels of
not
something.
83. So is it just a victory lap?
So I look at this as me just completing the first act, and I think of it like in maybe 3 acts. So this is kind of the first real big, like, okay, that was act 1. Now we're stepping into act 2. Obviously there's a voice about, that's very excited finally that they're free. So there's some kind of driving force behind the final days as to if we've seen them or not. The theory that I would have, especially as it relates to Heidelin, would come into play, that her existence and her purpose has existed was creation in relation to Zodiark. And so then there's the question is that, like, what happens to her now with no purpose or existence? Does this then, like, being that the source is about to experience the final days, like, is it that going to cause rejoinings? Is that going to, like, what is that going to, what kind of impact is that going to have on us as a player, as the world goes itself? I don't know, so I'm very kind of excited to see what happens with that. I think right now my biggest concern is, like, getting down to see what's going on with the Tempered and obviously that situation, because there was a big threat in Zodiark and we've now seen a vision of things to come. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what essentially the next play is, because if the Tempered are still running around causing havoc, are they still tempered now? Like,
did they show us 6 thumbnails of dungeons? I don't know how many they showed us.
7.
So you have more dungeons.
Usually we have 7.
7 thumbnails.
7 to 8. Yeah.
Say 8. I don't know. They showed you that you have more than 2.
Yeah, I know there's more
than 2
dungeons.
They referenced that there was more than 1 trial.
Yeah.
They showed 2 potential beast tribes.
Yeah. I haven't even run into the bunnies yet on the moon.
They showed 6 zones, and they told us the name of Labyrinthos. They told us the name of Lamentorum. They told us one was underground and one was the moon.
Yeah.
We got a chance to go to the other 2 in the media tour.
Davnir and
you
Garlemald.
have 2 zones that are just question marks across the board. Where do we go?
Well, I mean, the artwork of one of them was looked like a city like of Chrono Trigger, or from Dragon Quest. They're like kind of a flying city. I honestly don't know. I don't know what happens next. Was the moon? So we've been at Thavnir, Labyrinthos, Garlemald, and the moon. So right, that's right. I'm at 4 zones. There's 2 more big zones left. So
you have underscored Aetherites in previous zones, so you're not.
I haven't finished the stories of the previous zones. Right.
You have not attuned to every Aetherite in Thavnir.
I think Razadhan.
You have not attuned to every Aetherite in Labyrinthos.
Right.
You have not attuned to every Aetherite in just on your map that you always check your maps and try to attune on Lamentorum.
Right.
You did attune to every Aetherite in Garlemald.
Right.
And you have not set foot in the other 2 zones.
Right. That's where I'm at.
And then you have not seen any form of bunny.
Right.
You have seen elephants.
I've seen the elephants. And so I think essentially that, like, obviously points of, like, return would be, Charlayan and or Razadhan as kind of 2 key points. One of the Aetherites in Razadhan still not allowing me to tune to it. So there's still something.
That's not weird, though.
Right. That seems more natural because
I don't think. Yeah, like at Yulmore was like that.
Right. Like Yulmore had it locked out, like, before
Augers may have been as well, that we had to do a tiny bit of questing before it unlocked.
Right, because there's a couple of events that happen within Rogue.
Yeah, it's a form of phasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not done
right.
here,
So obviously more Thavnir zone, more Labyrinthos zone. Those zones are yet to be complete. So now technically, what people say is that the first zone that they can unlock flying is in Garlemald. So a part of me, from a non-story driven perspective, wants to go like maybe get flying knocked out in that zone. Just in terms of like, okay, cool, that's a nice quality of life.
Yeah,
feature.
I did Thavnir first.
You unlocked Thavnir first?
Because I did it post MSQ.
Gotcha.
I had no flying during MSQ. Because I was playing on some spoiler free streams.
I'm curious to see what happens with our relationship with Heidelin now, because I kind of look at them like, obviously from just even the box art as kind of two sides of the same coin. Heidelin being, created in response to Zodiark. What happens when that is no longer needed? And then essentially, what is that? Is that voice Heidelin herself? Like, is it essentially where it's like, oh, without purpose, all of a sudden corruption? I don't know. We obviously have her power of the Sundering, and who else did she shepherd back with the soul of Minfilia to the source? That's still a mystery. That's still a thread that I hope that we'll see, some more information on.
How do you feel your relationship had been with new characters, old characters? Like, where do you feel you're at? And then how do you feel about their own development? Because I think you've already seen some shifting and changing and ebbing and flowing. I mean, Alphino was literally given Sage as a birthright hand-me-down.
Yeah.
And to all the people who are struggling with Sage out there, Alphino said, honestly, I stayed in town a couple days. Didn't find it that hard.
Nah, I got it.
I found it pretty intuitive. Intuitive was the word he used.
Yeah. I like the relationship Alphino and Alizé have, especially when in the prison cell. Appreciated that relationship. I'm not running them as trust right now. But
up to where you played in the game, like that is my favorite Alphino and Alizé I've ever been. Right there in that train station.
Yeah.
I really, having been like a story skipper through Heaven's Word and Stormblood, I'm not really that attached to them. They're with us when we first land in ARR.
Right, but then they split up and go their own separate ways, and you don't see the return of them as a pairing until later into Heaven's Word when you start to get to the Warrior Darkness.
Okay,
Warrior
maybe I'll like them more there.
Because the Warriors of Darkness tried to kill her. So
I always struggled, but like in that tunnel, they were such siblings. With you as somebody who has multiple siblings, I know, like,
yeah,
I just felt I could feel they're sitting in that train station next to like one of my brothers or my sister. Like there's a connection between siblings that's just a friend but not a friend. They're family but they're not family. Like, we're going into the holidays. We're filming this on December 21st, and me and my siblings are getting together, go to dinner without my parents.
Yeah.
Like, separate from it. Like, in addition to the time we're spending with family, there's also this like sibling thing we do.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
There's a relationship among siblings that's just different.
Right. I've always for me personally, I've always said like Brandon and Jamie were the best gifts that my parents ever gave me, because we have a close relationship, and I know not everybody has that. My hope is that everybody, that does have a brother or sister out there, like, gets to have what I've been able to have my whole life, is just like that bond, in that regards. And so, yeah, we do at the holidays, where it was already planned. It's like parents watch the kids, while all the adult kids, essentially, we're going to go out and, spend time together. Just that's without not being parents, not being kids, just as siblings who share this, this blood or this bond. Yeah.
We got a bunch of bottles of sangria, and we're gonna play board games, and we're gonna hang out.
Nice.
And that was the scene that really, I think that's why I laughed so hard at the body swapping, because in the context of everything else that you've gone through to this point, there's a lot of like very real hard hitting things that remind us of the real world, where we can tackle how we actually feel. And so when you get to something like body swapping or time travel or turning into an animal, or these things that are like inherently fantasy that are tackled in video games, those all feel really funny compared to the fact that we've taken on like the love of a sibling, and we've taken on suicide, and we've taken on a lot for the fact that you're only 83.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
right. Like if I was going to divide this into presumable thirds,
it's dense.
Like it is dense. It is meaty. It is probably some of the best.
Prime rib for the appetizer. Like that's so weird. That's so weird.
That's such a good expression. So meaty. You know, and it is that. And that's actually the thing that I've like, it doesn't feel honestly like an MMO. Like it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I'm having this incredible experience built up off of all the lessons learned from the past. And it is this, you know, final, you know, overarching, you know, act that it feels, in which that everything that all the groundwork, all the foundation, all the, you know, the siding, all the, you know, everything's been done. And now like you're getting to step into your house and see all these pieces come together, all the labor, all the work. And it's like, okay, great. Like that's like, if you think about how they've built and architected this so far, like I actually have so much confidence in the next 2/3, presumably, you know, however, I don't know how it's going to be sliced up. I'll know when I finish it, but you know, that's just the math I'm doing in my head.
So originally in your first day, you said on Friday, the Friday before Christmas, this was like 4 days ago, that you were going to not be done by Tuesday for the raid, which is today. I would say that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
And then you said, but you would try to be done with story, you hoped by Christmas, which is 4 days from now.
Right.
But the 4 days of packed with family and commitments and work commitments. How are you feeling about your pace, having now completed a third over 4 days?
I'm feeling actually decent with the pace. I don't think I'm going to make it by Christmas, just based off of the fact that, like, as long as I'm flexible, if I for some reason do, then that's going to be awesome. But I think that's going to be unhealthy. That's where you kind of finish and you're just like, I don't even know how to process. I'm tired. I need to go lay down. And I'd like to finish and not be tired.
Mathematically, there's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah,
so mathematically, when you're adding it up, like, people are like, you know, I'm in Stormblood. Somebody asked today, I'm in Stormblood. How long would it take me to be prepared for 6.1? And we were doing the math and it's a spoiler stream, so I can talk how long Endwalker actually took. And, like, I can talk about it very openly and mathing it out. Like, if you play 24 hours a day and you don't take rest between days, and so by day 2 you've done 48 hours, and by day 3 you've done 72 hours, you knock out the game incredibly quickly.
Right.
Unfortunately, biology and life tends to stretch that out.
Tends to fight back. Well, tonight my thought is, like, I might try to play tonight.
Okay.
They patched it. They patched the game, and they believe they have fixed the 2002 error, which is essentially one of the big roadblocks for a lot of people. Because, like, if there's a queue tonight, not a problem. If I don't get kicked out of the queue, then perfect. And so if I can be able to put myself in a queue and come back in an hour or two, and then it's like, hey, I'm in. Yeah, I can play until I'm tired. Maybe I knock out a couple of hours tonight, and then maybe tomorrow I'm taking the kids to Six Flags, so that's gonna be the first time for them.
Tonight still might be hard because you got to remember that a lot of people who have cut down on the amount of playtime because they're done are going to be back for the raid.
For the raid, exactly. But that's
just today. So so today of all days.
Today of all days.
People are going to be like, they patched it and it didn't get better. Well, that's because it coincided with a content drop.
If it doesn't get the 2002 errors, I think it's a win. You know, and that's actually one of the things that I'm wanting to test. I want to see, can I put myself into queue, and can I return without having to monitor myself in queue? And can I get into the game? And if those things are fixed, any issue that with the expansion, I would consider resolved, because the rest of it is just a function of time.
For existing players.
Right. The rest of it's a function of time, and Yoshi P is constantly keeping us in the loop and doing their best for that. Right. So, like, queues suck. It sucks because you get kicked out. If they can fix that and you can get off work and you could say, oh, it's 4 hours until I can play. Great. I have 4 hours of other stuff that I need to do. Even better. I could sit here and grind up in New World for 2 hours as long as I don't have to monitor that number. And that's exactly what I might do. Thursday, so tomorrow I'm committed for family. I don't have any commitments on the following day, and that could be a day I could literally maybe do 6 hours, 8 hours. You know, it depends on how I feel. And so maybe I'll do, and it's, again, a big maybe. The goal is that I want to be like with family and with the holidays. I just have to be as flexible as I can be, because that just means everybody has a good time, even me. If I'm rigid and say, no, I have to do this, then it kind of, like, if that holds up everybody's plans, then I'm the jerk. And so it's like, I just try to be flexible, play when you can, keeps everybody happy, and just kind of have that. So I don't have anything scheduled. So it'll go up when it goes up. And then essentially what I've been doing, and I hopefully you appreciated it this morning as you kind of got caught up on my reactions. I've been chaptering out the live stream, so you can see when you hover over the bar, like what quest, and like, oh, it's a dungeon, and I'm just putting the names of the quests in place, so people can kind of be like, oh, if you want to see my reaction to a specific moment, you can go check out the live stream and kind of jump to that.
I'm watching all of it at like 1.75, and then we just kind of hang out in the sections that I know are filler. But for some people, it feels really, they're like, oh, that is like, it reminds me of the context and stuff. And then we slow down to normal speed when I know, like, okay, we're coming in for the real thing.
Nice.
So we bring it in for a little touch and goes, and I can fly through. I think I went through like 8 hours of your streaming, and like, I don't know, probably only like 6 hours, because I did pause and have a big long conversation yesterday about some like post MSQ ramifications of some implications you said. You just throw around, you just talk, so and then I'm like, well, hold on. So we got to go back.
I'm looking forward to watching that stuff. Is that getting prepared for Work to Game TV or something like that? Is that where I'm gonna go?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna clip all that out on Work to Game TV, and then my little side rants will probably come out on either Gaming Kinda or Gaming Kinda Reacts, because I think the sheer number of clips is gonna be too large.
Oh yeah, absorb. Content for months probably.
All 5 channels. Yeah, there's like I know that like Gaming Kinda Reacts, Gaming Kinda on Facebook are going to clear 90 posts in the month of December.
Boom, baby. I love it.
So it's just sheer quantity at this point.
Yeah.
There's probably quality in there somewhere. So it's working on some infrastructure to get it. I'm trying to practice getting bigger, because my goal is to get to more things, because I think focusing on quality is a really admirable trait, and there are people who are so much further into quality than I have ever been. But I think there is also a huge proponent for a number of people who come in and ask you, Brian, where's that guide? Or, hey, I have a question on this. And like, I want to be able to get to those people. And I would rather have a more average level post that shows up in the Google search for more things. Mm-hmm. And then really leave the ultimate quality to people who seem to have a better gift for it. People that I absolutely admire. When I see like the Jesse Cox Astral Umbral, like I just can't fathom how something like that comes to be. And there's a whole bunch of creators that do it. You've done some stuff at that caliber, and so like there's a lot of that caliber, and I can't fathom it. But what I can do is I can answer a lot of questions. So let me just do what I'm good at, and nod to those that are good at things that I'm not.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I'm excited about where you're at. Today was the big. This is the big first day. That's why I worked really hard to be caught up to be here with you. Mm-hmm. So knowing your plan tells me, and then when I did make sure that anybody who was online would meet you on the moon. So we had a handful of us there.
I appreciated that.
We're able to get 2 Sargatanas on the right instance. That's why I had to be partied with you, so I knew it. So that's why I needed to party with you prior to you zoning in, so you'd get dragged into my instance.
Yeah, and that way people
I was trying to get you into my because there's 3 moons.
Yeah.
So I had to get you to my moon. Because everything's all broken into, there's 3 of everything right now.
Right, just to help with the traffic and the volume and things like that.
It helps with like when a big fate farm spins up. I think they're just keeping it all paid. It's not even like spinning up by demand anymore. There's just always 3 running.
Yeah.
But I finished my first shared fate today. I finished shared fates for Thapnir, so that zone is now done.
Nice.
There is if you finish all the shared fates, there is a mount for an additional 50,000 gemstones. And so you buy gemstone tickets at 1,000 piece. So every time you buy it, you cap 50 times, you get them out.
I love that. I love that aspect. That's
I believe it's post. I think you have to cap in all of them. So I think it's post cap. So it's an epic amount of gemstones.
I love it. Let's do it.
So I'd like to chip away at that. Omni 90 race.
Yeah, how are we doing?
You are down at 218 as of my last count. Mm-hmm. I am up at 229. So my lead I was behind you 58 coming to the expansion. So you are back ahead of me, but not by the amount that you were ahead of me when the expansion started.
Right.
A lot of that is you're starting to knock down. You've got 4 90s in your hand and land, and you're very quickly approaching. Blacksmith is right up against it as of my last count. Mountain, Miner, Botany, Fisher are all approaching it pretty rapidly. Mm-hmm. And so you'll continue to like super speed for another 30, 40 levels, and then you'll start slowing down too.
Then it's the real grind.
It really grinds.
Then
like
the real grind.
I've been working Black Mage. I'm up to 87, and like it's a journey. Now today with the patch, they dial up the experience on all 80 to. And I think that's going to help people. I mean, on your main and your first job, you're still having fun. So I don't think it's not a penalty to anybody looking back.
Right.
The alternative would have been going and saying, hey, not enough people are doing Endwalker content. Let's nerf all the other sources of experience. I think this is the better plan. But I think that's going to put it in a good spot for the dungeon spam. Like as people start to finish up their shared fates, there are people that are like, I think Fido updated us in chat and said he was at 5 of 6. So as people finish up shared fates, I think there are going to be a number of people that say like, hey, I'd love to dungeon spam, but like there's really not a reason to do it.
Right.
And so dialing that up, there is some drama today that you're not aware of that going into the first raid. I think people have been so focused on the shared fates and on experience that people hit 90 and then immediately swapped classes and went back down and leveled. And so they came out of MSQ in whatever gear they just happened to have. And it's the first raid tier. That's never good enough. And so they're being reminded of early Shadowbringers when they had to go out and grind up whatever the little infinite tome was, the early allegory.
To be able to buy the gear, yeah.
And so they're getting to the end. They don't have any aphorism on them. And they're not. And so they logged on today after really slowing down how much they played, and people can't zone into the raid. And so 565 is the number to chase. I'm at 565 as of now. I'll be doing the raid for the first time in the morning since I've caught up with you.
Awesome, man.
And so that's where I'm at. So I'll be doing the raid and the raid story, and I'll be doing my Starlight Festival. Don't forget your Starlight. Don't let that slip.
When's that end?
I have no idea, but it's going on right now.
I know it's going on right now, so I need to do that.
Going out as we've gone on, 22 minutes later. I'll
also put this in MP3 for anybody.
Starlight Festival is to the end of the year.
Okay, good.
So you've got some time, but like, don't let that.
Yeah. Starlight, Halloween, Rising, and the summer events are usually like the 4 that I absolutely get done, and then the rest of them I'm just like, eh.
Historically, it's 15 to 20 minutes. Historically, they're just not a big deal. The last Starlight Festival left a really bad taste in my mouth because the last Starlight Festival was when they took on all the content delays and the 5G shots and everything like that. So that was really dark compared to previous Starlight Festivals. As opposed to the Easter event was bright and funny and we got a chicken suit. So I'm hoping this is more of the latter and less of the former.
Less of the former.
But that's where I'm at. That's your update on me. Anything else is spoilerific. And so I am journeying through it. I've been trying to put out as much spoiler-free content on all the platforms as possible for everybody. It's starting to get to the point where that's bottlenecking me. The guides I want to make, the thoughts I want to have, I'm just getting stuck.
Yep. I get it, man. It's always a weird time, especially within the Final Fantasy realm. So, welcome everybody if you're new. Hopefully you've been enjoying these videos. And I'm also just like with these specific things, I'm just going to run these also at MP3 for people who just want to kind of listen through the journey on the podcast. So
I look forward to checking in with you again. I would say we check in again.
When are you back from the holidays? Because you're taking a holiday off. Let's talk about that for a brief moment. And then
I can record with you as like a brief 30-minute thing mid-holiday, but I am not streaming from Thursday through the 28th. I do plan on streaming the 29th, 30th, and 31st. It's just morning streams. They'll be a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Because I have some afternoon commitments. But that's my plan. I'll probably be doing the stuff catch up. I assume I can't ask you to wait that long to get through it. And I'll just, if there's some left, there's some left. I'd love to be there for the credits rolling. And but there are other significant moments I'd love to be for along the way, just because I really enjoyed them, or reliving things is nice.
Yeah.
Whether it be joy or cathartic. And so, at the very least, if I broke down any expansion, right? If my sister's an ARR, and I would love to check in with her every time she finishes a trial.
Yeah.
That's not so often. Like dungeons, that's like, why don't you call me every 2 hours?
Right.
It's far enough that you feel like you can play at your own pace.
Yeah.
But it's close enough that it's not like think way back. And so I think stepping in every trial is just a safe way to explore any expansion. So I'd love to check in with you if you were to find another trial, but otherwise, I can't say anything else without trying to set a number. I don't want to tell you how many hours I think it'll take you to get to the point I want to show you, because I don't want you to know.
Right.
And I don't want to tell you about if anything along the way is worth noting or not worth noting.
Right.
It's possible that the rest of the expansion is all one or all the other or in between. It doesn't matter. It's your journey, and I want you to enjoy it.
Cool. Guys, thanks so much for hopefully you enjoyed this video and this discussion. We will let you know when you'll see more. Obviously, that's that's what we do. Hopefully, you all are doing well. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all the best to you and yours. And hopefully, we'll see you in our next video and or podcast in that regards. But anyway, Chris, why don't you take us off? Take us out.
Guys, don't know how many more times we'll hear from you this year, but thank you so much. The last year has been unbelievable in how much Brian and I have grown as creators with y'all's support and this community and everything. It has been amazing. So if we don't get a chance to say anything else to you this year, thank you so much for an incredible year. I hope to see you guys again this year, but if not, we will plan on all the amazingness that Final Fantasy XIV is next year. Thank you. Each and every one of you. We have gotten to interact with some of you a lot and some of you from afar, and we appreciate them both in their own way. So thank you from both of us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.